I always thought I'd done my best not to hurt anybody, and I always sort of thought that. But then, as I'm getting older, there has to be an accounting. Like, I think it's time for me to account for it and be honest with myself. And I realised that I couldn't distance myself from the responsibility of killing. It's like sometimes I'm in a time warp, and the things that happened in 1968 and 69 are as if they happened this morning. There was a feeling of certainty that I would be called up. I was so certain. I immediately knew that my birth date had been one of the selected out of the sort of Tatslotto machine of national conscription. Certainly the sentiment of all my friends was relief that they didn't have to fight the system to get out of it, because most of them would have done that, would have wanted to do that, would not have wanted to go to war or be in the army. It was a strange feeling. So it felt very lonely, actually.
You're not going, are you? No, I'm not going. Good. Yeah.
2 weeks after I was at Puckapunyal, I actually was fed up, totally fed up with the system. I threw my rifle at a Lance Corporal who was basically bastardising us, and ran out the gate, and I ended up in Clink. After that, I became a model soldier. I did everything by the book that they told me. I think anybody who's been involved in war, to whatever degree, is damaged. And I think that damage never goes away. It's not something that you can heal. I think it's something that you learn to deal with by different mechanisms and different strategies, whether it be medication or meditation or gardening or sports or the bottle or whatever. It's always there. It's just learning how to live with it. But that's what war does. That's what you don't get off scot-free if you go to war. Nobody.
Hello everybody at home, this is me again. It's the 15th of December. At the moment I'm sitting up in one of the gun turrets at the compound of Apsuing A, and I'm looking out over the village of Apsuing A, and down across the fields to the mountains in the background. On one side there's a big rubber plantation, on the other side the village and the mountains.
I want to say that since I've been over here in Vietnam and spoken the language and met the people, it's become more than just a language. It's sort of been a passport. I think I've said this before, a passport into their homes and families. And I'm even starting to think in Vietnamese now. I'm getting mixed up between English and Vietnamese. I even dream in Vietnamese, so that shows you that, how strange it's all become.
I may sound a bit tired at the moment because we've been out on patrol every night this week
through the areas of Duc My and Apsuing A,
and I haven't had a lot of rest, so It's nothing but tiredness, so don't worry.
We were on ambush during the night and on patrol during the day, because there was a number of locations, a number of hamlets that we had to ensure their security. There was incidents where people were massacred, and where we had to go and retrieve bodies and get injured people out and things like that. There was constant tension, yeah. The worst times were going into the ambush positions at dusk. We always had to have a patrol at night in Suing A village to stop the Viet Cong from coming in. We knew they came in every night because in the morning when we went down into the village, there'd be the treads of Viet Cong footwear. They would avoid us or they'd get around us, but when we were down there, you'd know their progress by the barking of the dogs through the charcoal kilns. Death was a constant accompaniment. I cannot put down in words exactly how I feel now, because words cannot explain. But to say that Vietnam is an experience is to say nothing. I will tell you that Vietnam is heartbreaking. It is beautiful and tragic at the same time. It is war where hate sweeps everything in its path, destroying as it goes. And it is tiredness. It is not the tiredness of the body, but of the spirit. And oh, I am so tired of the bloodshed, so tired that I cannot begin to describe it. We were on a patrol beyond the rubber plantation, and our patrol, myself and another Australian and a section of Montagnard troops, made contact with 5 enemy. There was 2 girls and some men. Some got away. One was killed, and the other one was lying there, and the Montagnard section leader wanted to cut his throat. And I intervened. I got in between him and the Viet Cong soldier on the ground and stopped him. And the Viet Cong soldier told me, he heard me talking Vietnamese, and he said that he was dying and that I'd killed him. And I said no. I cut open his trousers and at his thigh where there was a blood stain, and I saw a small bullet hole going in, and with blood coming out. And I said, no, it's only a leg wound. You'll be okay. And he said, no, I'm dying. And we carried him back to the road, and on the way to the road he died.
He was so distracted. Nearly 30 years I married him. You know, he just so much inside him never come out. You know. I love him to do, land skating, sea skating, or still life. I love him to do that. But at the moment, he only just deal with soldier and dead body. It's very, disturbing, for me and for him as well.
I think it was a long time coming to terms with it. I knew all along I shouldn't be there. And then I went back after the war and I married Kim. We had a son, and then we had another son. I got a job and tried to put it out of my mind, but it kept tripping me up. It kept coming back in dreams and nightmares. I can remember waking up, Kim slapping me in the middle of the night, sometimes because I was trying to strangle her because I thought she was a Viet Cong enemy, and there was a lot of incidents like that. But as the years went on, it just became a generalised nightmare. I had 2 or 3 breakdowns, and I was put on medication, and I remain on medication today. Psychologically, I tried to bury it and not think about it too much. But then there comes a time when you can't hide from it. That by going to Vietnam, by going on patrol, by teaching Vietnamese how to fire M60 machine guns and set claymore mines, and teaching them Australian tactics, army tactics about ambush, and fighting with them, and having people being killed in front of me. Even my own shooting into, when we made contacts, shooting not knowing what I was shooting at, but shooting into the jungle itself, in front of me, not seeing anybody, but just shooting. I sort of faced up that, yeah, I did kill people, So that's hard. It's hard to take. And I know people would say, you should know you weren't responsibility, but I think we all are in the end. I am responsibility for, I have a responsibility for what happened. I have a responsibility for the enemy that I saw killed. The legacy is a war hero, and that's absurd. I mean, it's not reality. It's not sane reality. It's propaganda for a particular view of Australian identity. And if people had been actually in war, they'd realise immediately that that's bullshit. It's just bullshit. And it's dangerous bullshit.
You like this, yeah?
Yeah, that's good. The dark part brings
I was teaching, I was a school teacher, and I became very physically stressed. I started to have flashbacks to Vietnam again, like before. And The worst aspect of that was that people didn't understand. People see you from the outside as capable because you always want to be capable and you always want to be seen to be capable and efficient and coping, and they don't see what's going on the inside. They don't see inside your soul. They don't see what's happened, unless you've actually been there and done these things or been involved in these situations, you can't understand. But it's hard to take sometimes. I'd like to come out the other side, somewhere down the track, and paint beauty, and paint optimism, and paint joy and fulfilment, and instead of being preoccupied with the problems of life, paint something which gives hope. I'd really like to paint something like that.